very good evening, everyone. Welcome into your box seat, brought to you in association with Woodlands, of course, off the back of the magnificent New Zealand bloodstock sales, which we covered extensively last week. We get right into the racing action, both sides of the Tasman. It is Miracle Mile week, and of course it's Pascoe's the Jewellers Northern Oaks. Therefore, Michael Guerin, very good evening to you. We have quite a bit to get through.
We do, Greg. Big hi to everybody. I hope your week has gone well, and for those who purchased at the sales last week, hope they're breaking in nicely. You got the things sorted out. You made your payments for the harness millions. Greg, it's grand final week. If this was rugby league, it's not because we're going to decide who the best horse in Australasia is on Saturday night, but it's the most important race. It's $1 million Australian, and we have the horse who won the New Zealand Cup, which is the second richest race in Australasia, in the fixer against the horse he beat that day in Tiger Tara. Tiger Tara has done everything since to dominate Australia, but the fixer got him last Saturday night. So the intrigue now is, while Tiger Tara is seen as the best horse in Australasia, the fixer beats him on Saturday night in the Miracle Mile. He's beat him twice in the two richest races in Australasia. So it's that real grand final feel. He may not be the best, but the fixer wins this, Greg, and he takes the honours for the season as the one who won the things that mattered the most. The barrier draw, the racing there on Saturday night, it's changed the complexion enormously. If Tiger Tara wins the race we're about to show you and draws barrier 2, he's $2 for the Miracle Mile. Neither of those things happened.
We have got this ahead for you on your show tonight. We'll review last week's qualifiers and have a decent look at this year's Miracle Mile. The suspension out of the chariots of Natalie Rasmussen, we didn't really have a chance to go over that last week, but we will tonight. We've got a whole lot of winners there from Menangle on Saturday night. It's Oaks night. Pascoe's the Jewellers at Alexandra Park Friday night with a hugely impressive undercard. We've got some Group 3s to have a look at for you, and we'll have a look at the bets from last week. As it says there, the brand got beat, which is a rarity.
Do we have to do that?
Yes, we will, and we'll do it extensively. I'm leaving 10 minutes at the back end of the show.
You need to stick around for the back end of the show because Mark McNamara is being unscrupulous. And I don't mean to use that word. No, I mean to use it. He's being unscrupulous. Okay. But we'll get to that later on.
Yep.
Let's get to other Australians. Miracle Mile. So there were 2 preludes, Gregory, on Friday night, and well, I'm sure you enjoyed the first one. Here's the feel, what's come out of those preludes, and things couldn't have gone better for the fixer in the last couple of days.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was a masterstroke starting him the week before, giving him a look at Menangle. We know how important that is. On face value, he looked to have battled a wee bit, but that often happens first up. When he did finish 4th, he came out, of course, last Saturday night, ended up getting a beautiful run in behind Ashley Locas, 1-1, came out, Michael, and just goes bang, as we'll see right now. In front, you just don't see this very often. Tiger Tara getting the sectionals he wanted, and then this happened with the fixer reeling off a sensational last couple of 100 metres.
Tiger Tara needs to lift 100 to go. The fixer's inch by inch cutting back the margin. The fixer levels up. Tiger Tara kicks. The fixer put the nose in front. The fixer has beaten Tiger Tara.
So that's exactly what he needed going into the big race this week. A kill like that beating Tiger Tara, as you quite rightly pointed out, head-to-head clashes now. He's in front.
Well, this is indicative of how he is best driven and best can win races. That's sitting close to the speed. He's not a horse who can come from back in the field and having one sprint at them. That's how he beat Tiger Tara in the New Zealand Cup. And that's how he can beat him again this week, because Tiger Tara is really, really hard to beat on the small tracks. I know that sounds weird because he's trained at Menangle, but he gets such an advantage with his gate speed leading on the small tracks, and all the other horses lose their 2.5 lengths per bend, Gregory. But on these bigger tracks and the longer straights, like Addington, the sit sprinters get a chance to aim up on him. They get to sit off him, let him do all the work, and then when he starts to get tired, they can hit him. And Poster Boy and the Fixer are those sort of horses. So, look, that was a huge step forward. I agree with you. The week before was crucial because New Zealand horses tend to underperform at Menangle their first start there over a mile. So they got him used to the rushing and the hassle and the lung burning.
The breathing.
Speed of it. Yeah, exactly right. So they got him used to that. And then they came back last week. He was significantly better. Spoke to Natalie post-race and she said, we'll be better again. So everything's trending in the right direction for the Fixer. Tiger Tara's never won in sub 150 for a mile at Menangle, which sounds crazy because he looks like he'd be perfectly suited to Menangle. But I think, and we'll get to the machinations of the race later, I think there's only one way he can win this Miracle Mile. But that was Prelude 1. The first two guaranteed a spot from there, Greg. Prelude 2, a horse who wasn't even going to be there. One of your mates spank him.
Yeah, well, he had the foot issue going out of Melbourne. Got to Sydney, couldn't get a suitable flight, so effectively worked on that problem. And, well, he sprints home here, Michael, in 25.6. Beautifully driven Mark Purdon, second quarter 30.4, and they just simply couldn't catch him.
Well, a crucial factor here is that Major Dan galloped at the start, and he was the horse who was the likely leader. And Spankham, who's a horse we probably never think about being a really good gate speed horse, just flew the gate. Admittedly, once he was able to lead with no pressure and no Major Dan, the speed went out of the race, and that meant a horse like Myfield Marshall, the defending Miracle Mile champion, didn't have the tempo for them to come back to him and him to get over the top.
I still thought, Michael, he was very good, because what isn't his modus is coming 3 wide on his own, and he's done that for a half, and he was fresh up from that WA campaign.
Look, I think he was good, but half an hour after that race, his chances dissipated enormously. He drew barrier 8. So what happened was the first two home in those races, plus Poster Boy and Yaya's Hotspot, were guaranteed a spot in the mile. Then they chose to take Field Marshal, and they were always going to do that, defending champion, Australasian mile record holder, and then they chose Chase Auckland. Now that was because of the win earlier in the night. I can see what they're thinking. Here's the win. So here's Hale Christian sitting in the trail. There's Pickard in front. Chase Auckland, big performance here because he sat parked and he's beaten too good. Hale Christian would have got him in another stride, but he's had an easier run. This gets him into the Miracle Mile. Some people weren't happy about it, Greg, but this is harness racing New South Wales and Club Menangle to a T. They love this sort of stuff. The bright, shiny star. He's opened up very tight in the markets. He's third favourite. Purdon Rasmussen / Luke McCarthy. There's lots of sexiness about it for the punters. So I can see why they did this, even though some people would suggest maybe a Cruz Bromack type horse should have been.
Well, he was unlucky, wasn't he? He's virtually, by virtue of getting beaten a nose by Alpha Rock, who, incidentally, the last time I saw him in New Zealand was in a claiming race at Addington Raceway, and now he's in the Miracle Mile, so that in itself's a remarkable story.
Well, the Trittons are very good at qualifying horses for the Miracle Mile. That's their modus operandi. So had Cruz Bromack got into the race, they wouldn't have taken Chase Auckland, they wouldn't have taken 4 Purdon Rasmussen horses. So I think they've got the one in the race which is more likely to have a winning chance. I think Cruz Bromack, I think he's had his chance this summer. And he's...
Well, he had his big win, didn't he?
He started
in the free-for-all.
Exactly right. So here, the field comes up with those horses you've seen there, and the open class form we know, plus the X factor of Poster Boy. Here he was in the Chariots 2 weeks ago, and he's a horse, the more I see him, the more I like him. In the pink Lauriston bloodstock colours, out there 4 wide and about to peel off the back of them. And this is a good horse, Greg. I wasn't in love with him as a 3-year-old. He's come back bigger and stronger. This is a horse who can win a Miracle Mile because he now has barrier 1.
And you described him as a real racehorse last week, and this performance here, and many of his other performances, let's be fair, his career has been littered with very good performances, but that was the best of them.
He's a little bit like Spankham in the fact that he was a good 2-year-old and you thought, will he go on with the job? And Spankham didn't at 3 because he had a problem. But Poster Boy did, won the New South Wales Derby on this track. But he's come back significantly better at 4. I reckon he's put on 20 kilos. I had a look at him in the stables and he's a different shaped horse than he was. He was very narrow as a 2 and 3-year-old. So look at him there. He's got lots to like about him. So he's in the Miracle Mile now from barrier 1. So we'll pull that field up again and pick it to pieces. We've got him from 1, and I'm not sure he's a natural leader. Had a really good talk to Puppet about it last night. He said, look, I would like to trail the right horse. He said, he's been in front a couple of times, but...
What's the right horse? In your opinion?
He wants to trail one of 2 horses.
The Fixer or Tiger Tara.
Or Tiger Tara.
Yep.
So if you watch the Fixer, in the last couple of weeks, he's actually got off the gate really well, really well. And I had a good conversation with Natalie about that, and she said, I want to lead and stay there. There'll be no handing up to Tiger Tara. So Chase Auckland won't be a factor in the early burn. Yaya's hot spot, they're going to duck for cover. Spoke to Shane Tritton about that. Here's where things get really interesting. My Alpha Rock, this is his last race in Australasia. He's been sold to North America. And Shane Tritton told me we're going to let the owner decide. If he decides, I want to go forward and put all our eggs in that basket, then they will. Now, I don't think he'll cross regardless, but if he pressures into a 25 and change first quarter, those horses at the top end have a problem. More importantly, and this is really crucial to the race, Greg, my Alpha Rock leads, it'll hand to Tiger Tara. If Tiger Tara gets there first, in between them, spank him. So that's really interesting, because if the fixer leads, there'll be no handing up. And Tiger Tara, the only way I think he can win this race is if my Alpha Rock leads and hands to Tiger Tara. That scenario.
Do you think that'll happen?
It's about a 20% chance of happening.
Right.
Which means you want $5 to find out, and you're getting about $4.50. So there's no spoil there for Tiger Tara. I don't see him just crossing them for fun.
Well, if we remember last year, similar barrier draw Lazarus, he went to come out of the gate and they were just going too far, so he had to go back.
Tiger's quicker off the gate than Laz.
He is, but he's still going to be wide.
And Laz, I agree. Well, barriers 7 and 8 in the Miracle Mile since it moved to Menangle have been disastrous.
Yep.
Disastrous. Now, there's 2 horses in the race who can't win. The Tritton horses have no chance. So you can pull them out of play, but if Tiger Tara did reach the lead, he needs to have my Alpha Rock on his back, because he's a non-factor.
He'll get sprinted past by...
If the fixer's there, or Poster Boy...
Or Chase Auckland.
Or even Chase Auckland, you're in a world of pain. And this was without mentioning Spankham, because Spankham's good enough, Greg, and fast enough off the gate. If my Alpha Rock is able to lead, Spankham could be the first one to get to him. So it's a really intriguing race. It's a game of chess. What do I think's going to happen? I think the fixer can hold them. I really do. And I don't think Natalie can afford to hand up to Tiger Tara. She might consider handing up to Spankham. And because the only reason would be Poster Boy then becomes 3 deep on the market.
You don't see Chase Auckland coming out with the fixer?
I don't think he's quick enough.
Okay.
I just think that first time at the highest level, I'm not sure he can rock and roll with the big boys and still be there at the end.
But he's going to be one off, isn't he?
Yeah,
if the fixer led and he's one off, maybe 3 back, that's where my Field Marshal was last year, and we haven't even discussed him. They would need to run a first half in, what, sub 52 for him?
Spoke to Tim Butt 53? Last night, and he said, look, we're in a world of pain. Because last year, he thinks they'll go 2 seconds slower than last year, 146.9 last year. So if they go 149, he's just not going to be effective. It's a really strange race, because I don't mean to disrespect my Field Marshal, and I definitely don't mean to disrespect Tiger Tara. But as we saw last year with Lazarus, and we've seen with some great horses in the Miracle Mile in the past, you get too far back or work too hard there on that track, it's just chaos. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
Now, Natalie is in the race, Greg, to drive the fixer, even after being suspended last week at Menangle for 6 weeks. And it's got me blown away how this has unfolded, to be honest. So this is the Chariots of Fire the week before. Just squint at the television, you'll be able to see this. In front is Pickard. Pickard drifts off. Natalie has the option to go to its inside with Chase Auckland and chose not to go there and never get to run. So here's my take on this. She made a mistake. She pulled, excuse the pun, the wrong rein. But
8 weeks?
Was it 8 weeks? I thought it was 6. Okay. So
I thought it was 8.
So what she's thinking here is there's no passing lane. So she's thinking, how do I get round this horse? She said that the leader was slightly hanging down into the gap she was hoping to go for. You can see there she's looking. Can I go inside? No, I can't go inside. She chooses to go outside and she makes a mistake. If you, every time a driver or a jockey pulled the wrong rein, Greg, gives them 6 or 8 weeks, well, yeah, every race there'd be somebody suspended. I think for somebody to get suspended for that period of time, there needs to either be malice or motivation in their actions.
And this is a Group 1 $200,000 race.
What, you think she's back Poster Boy? I mean, give me a break. I mean, she made a mistake and she stuffed it up. it happens. When you don't have a track with a passing lane, you're going to invite drivers to look to the outside. Yeah, it was an error.
So she's appealed the severity, not the fact that
the
she
appeal was largely irrelevant because she was given
she was able to drive.
She was given a 9-day automatic stay because she was committed to the Miracle Mile horse, so she can drive this week. And then after that, the severity might take it from 8 till 5 or whatever.
Whatever it happens to be.
There's actually not that many major races she's going to miss because of it. She might miss
New Zealand Derby.
an Easter Cup.
Those sort of races.
And Mark and Tim, they've got enough people at All Stars to drive the ultimate snipers of the world. But I still can't quite work out how that is a penalisable offence at that level.
Particularly to that severity.
For pulling the wrong lane. That's not because, she's in New Zealand. I just don't think any time a jockey makes a mistake or a driver makes a mistake, you can cop them that badly for making a pure mistake.
Yep, agreed. Right, in one, Miracle Mile selection. I'm going to say the fixer.
Look, I'm going to say the fixer, but I think there's enough there to back two horses in the race. I think you can back the fixer and Poster Boy, but it's by no means an easy race, and I'm really looking forward to it because it does have that grand final feel. I still think Tiger Tara is the best horse in Australasia. I just haven't seen enough from him on his home track and mile races. But in saying that, the one caveat I would have is this. All season when he's won the big three, Victoria Cup, Hunter Cup and then to Dominion, his start beforehand wasn't stunning. So his grand final has been far better.
So he's been able to peak him beautifully, Kevin Bazzuto.
He has. By the way, the horses all went to the retention barn Wednesday night, so a day earlier than usual.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Thursday, wasn't it?
So they've all gone to the retention barn on Wednesday night. Make of that what you will.
OK, let's get into the Oaks. Another Group 1 final, if you like, will be held on Saturday night. Kiwi interest, of course, our Princess Tiffany was scintillating on Saturday night. Kualoa is an outstanding filly. Tangoing with Sierra was the other heat winner. We're going to have a look at those for you now. Tangoing in Sierra, Zach Phillips and Gary Hoban combined here. This was the slowest of the heats.
And the weakest. And look, Zach Phillips is a good young driver. He's a driver I've got a lot of time for. He'll end up in the top echelon of Australasian drivers. Drove this a treat. This is not the heat you're going to see the New South Wales Oaks when they come from. Simple as that.
Simple as that. 157.7 mile rate. She's now 6 from 14. Just over 120,000. Tangoing in Sierra. Did finish 4th in the Breeders' Crown, which I think's the absolute race we should look at. Princess Tiffany sat outside Kualoa, beat her, and Tangoing in Sierra wasn't too far away from them. But we'll have a look at Kualoa, who she's very good, isn't she?
She's a big meat. If Kualoa was a human, she'd be Valerie Adams. She's just big and strong and powerful. And you watch her here in the next heat, so she just comes out and just roughs them up. So she probably lacks an inch of high speed, but around Menangle that's not as big an issue. So here she is crushing them. When you watch this, you think to yourself, well, how's this going to get beat in the New South Wales Oaks? Well, we've got a couple of updates on that coming shortly, but yeah, she's improved since 2. That was very, very impressive. So
and she's 3 from 3 this campaign, and like you say, Michael, on that performance you thought, wow, she'll be favourite for it, pre-barrier draw. But the barrier draw, which we'll discuss in a moment, she's now 9 from 13 and nearly 90,000. She went 56.7 in her heat and did it very comfortably.
She's got that thing, Greg, where she races with the head slightly down, and they don't look big and bold and beautiful, but she's a meat when you're up close to her. Now watch this. Here's Princess Tiffany sitting second last. And I was watching this race on track and I thought, Natalie, you've stuffed this up. You're going to get time here. What are you doing? And, well, this happened next.
Swimsuit edition, and now our Princess Tiffany comes the deepest and starts to launch. Going up on the outside, Arabella Star. Here's our Princess Tiffany. In the twinkling of an eye, goes straight on by from the tail, and our Princess Tiffany, near enough last to first, has beaten
Well, off the back of a couple of disappointing performances December at Alexandra Park, that was nothing short of breathtaking.
I honestly thought Natalie had totally stuffed this up. because they were going at a quick enough speed starting the 600 that I thought, well, there's no chance she can come from back here and win. She went 25.3 her last 400 metres. Now, I know sitting out the back and only coming with one run, you can do amazing things, but you're right, she wasn't right in December, and they only decided to take her here after the trial at Rangiora last week. That was brilliant. So that really changed the dynamic of betting for the race. Then the barrier draw came out Monday. So barrier draw, she draws middle of the pack,
yep.
and Kualoa draws one from the outside. That gives Natalie a whole heap of options, and with the respect factor she gets there, Greg, I think if they wanted to go forward and lead, they probably could. Oh, that's quite a quick front line. 2,400 metres, the start point is just into the back straight, like one peg into the back straight. So horses out wide can get a real roll on. It's really hard to lead from the inside. So she has the opportunity to go forward. Kualoa spoke to Chris Alford. He said, look, we are in trouble. We can still win. He said, but we're going to need to be at least as good as Princess Tiffany. Simple as this. One's stronger, the other one's faster.
Move away from, say, you tipping our Princess Tiffany?
Well, I'm not going to back it there.
No, but she's clear top pick.
I mean, by the same token, if the odds got ridiculous, if Kualoa got up to $5, $6 and it became $1.20, which it could do, there could be a real wave of money for Princess Tiffany, then yeah, Kualoa at $5, I'd have a saver.
New South Wales Derby, the next of the Group 1s, we'll have a look at Centenario, so good, and we'll see that in a moment. Muscle Factory, so they've effectively drawn 1 and 2 here. Lochinvar Art's a smart horse, and we'll get to see him as well. But, gee, Centenario versus Muscle Factory. The discussion pre-race between Trotton and the Stewart barn will be intriguing.
Interesting one. Centenario was able to lead, but got crossed off the gate, then led in the first heat. Here it is, but gee, he's turned into a lovely horse. Big, long stride, 60-inch hopple, just cruised around Menangle. Spanked them here. Hurricane Harley's the horse down the outside in the poster boy colours. He's done a good job because he galloped early, so he was really good. But on that, I thought Centenario's going to win the Derby. And even what I saw in the next 2 races, Greg, didn't change my opinion. Just look at him here. Beautiful striding son of American Ideal, and he just loves Menangle.
He's got lovely action, hasn't he? And he really gets those legs off the ground in front. And
spoke to Emma Stewart last night. She said he's one of the best paces we've ever had, as in his gait.
His action, yeah.
Big, long strider. So, look, then we saw Muscle Factory's heat, and we expected him to be able to come out and win. Sorry, Lochinvar Art was next. Straight across them at the start, here for Luke McCarthy, new driver. Led, was able to win. I'm Another Masterpiece sat parked, and to be honest, Greg, he was just okay. He's an emergency for the Derby. Lochinvar Art has been good in Victoria. That was way better, but his chances have been enormously curtailed by the draw. Wouldn't be surprised to see them roll the dice and try and go forward at the start here, because with that wide draw advantage perceived about getting off the gate out wide, he might have a chance. The last thing was really interesting. Muscle Factory's the horse who ran that track record in the Victoria Derby and was very good winning it, but he got found out here. He sat parked and he then crushed and went to the lead. So what you're not seeing is here, he had been parked before this happened, but those little strides around Menangle start to count.
Demon Delight was very, very good, and Mrs. Turnbull did a nice job sitting in the 1-1. It just extended here, and it was the fastest heat by far, Michael. 152.7. Couldn't have been more impressive, really, Demon Delight, and gives Emma Stewart a pretty strong second stringer, if you like.
She's got 5 in the race,
yeah.
Emma Stewart.
Which is a terrific effort in itself.
Of course it is, it's enormous. Muscle Factory, I think, is more likely to lead this week than have to sit parked.
Does that give him a winning chance over Centenario?
I'll tell you what it does. And it's an if. I had a good talk to Puppet about this. He said, I was a bit asleep last week on Centenario. I'll be keen to buzz off the gate. His plan, and he didn't say this point blank, but it was pretty obvious, is to hand to Muscle Factory. Muscle Factory run the wicked sectionals. Lauren Trotton liberates them between the 800 and the 400 to try and break their hearts, and then he'll be sitting behind it. If Centenario sits on the back of Muscle Factory, this Derby's as good as over. It'll just come out the top of the straight and win. It's $2.60.
Okay.
So
there you go.
That's if that happens.
But
Art from out wide.
It is more. She won't be handing up to Lochinvar Art unless he comes that fast.
He might just get her at the start.
Yeah.
But even then, there could be a bit of mucking around. But if Centenario is sitting in the trail,
you wouldn't want to be on any other horse.
It'll just win.
Okay. it will just win. Tell Me Tales just keeps on doing exactly that. Here's the field for the Ladyship, and unfortunately for her connections, she comes up with the outside draw. But from a Kiwi point of view, Our Dream About Me is a good draw for her.
Really interesting. I mean, I've been saying this all season and it gets me abused by people, but we're here not to make friends, Greg, we're here to tell the punters what they deserve to know, and that Our Dream About Me's lost her speed. She's lost that speed. She's lost that thing. And she can, once she's rolling in front, she's
What was
fine.
that?
Well,
That thing?
Hey, you see it on football players, you see it in tennis players, they've got that, or they haven't anymore. And as they get older...
I just can't click my fingers like that.
As they get
You've
older,
got that.
it's the first thing you see football players lose, that real turn on a dime speed. And she's lost it. But is it going to matter? Because she's got at barrier 1. If she can hold, and it's a goodish front line, but it's not super quick. There's one in there called Cherry Strider who looks like it's been shot out of a cannon. Even if one horse crosses her, she might be able to come off on the first bend, which she can do at Menangle, but that's a crucial factor. She's got to lead. She's got to lead to win this race. Now, I spoke to Natalie and Mark about what they would do with her. She was very dull last week, really dull.
Yeah.
And they said we're going to put the blinkers on her, winkers on her, one or the other, and sharpen her work up. So just give her a little short burst of work to try and wake her up. Yes, she can win, absolutely no doubt. Yes, she can pace a 1:48 mile, but she's about $1.60, Greg. It's ridiculous odds. You put Ellie Mack in that barrier draw, her stablemate who didn't make the race, or Utmost Delight, I'm more confident with them. So yes, she can win. And when I say a horse has lost its speed, doesn't mean the horse is inferior, it just has less weapons. So look, she might come out and brain them, but...
Tell Me Tales in the Robin Dundee was quite breathtaking, beautifully driven by the puppet, managed to get her off the inside and follow Our Dream About Me, and this was a terrific turn of foot.
It was a race she was going to win a long way from home because of the way it panned out, but you know, she was still very comprehensive. Now, there's another horse in the race called Carla's Pixel who didn't race last week, who won this race last year. Both those horses are good enough to sit just off Dream About Me and beat her. But if Dream About Me is able to lead, as I said, then she gets a chance to roll home in 53.5, and she'll be awfully hard to catch. I don't want to back Our Dream About Me. I hope she wins, but I don't want to back her. I'm keen to back Tell Me Tales and Carla's Pixel here. I'm keen to back them, thinking that one of the two of them might get the slingshot.
Get the right run. Yeah.
And if you can back them each at two at $6, you're getting $3. It's a 3-horse race. You're getting $3 about them beating the New Zealand mare, who I hope wins.
One of the great anomalies about this day for miners is another Group 1 free-for-all race. It is the Bohemian Crystal, but gives these horses who didn't make the Miracle Mile an opportunity. Major Dan gets a chance to redeem himself from the outside. Of course, Ashley Locas, who I think's just been absolutely superb in every start he's had over there. He gets his chance this week.
Look, Uncle Sam, second, obviously in a Hunter Cup. Buster Brady's been good, Maximan's been good. Let It Ride couldn't even make the field. San Carlo's been good on occasions. Hale Christian's been outstanding for Paul Court. This is a really, really good field. I think Ashley Locas will win because I think he's consistently performed at a very high level. And he did run third in the Auckland Cup, of course. But there's enough about this race, Greg, where one spot too far back or one early burn. It's 2,400. It's different from the other races, the mile races. 2,400's a different type of open class race there. I think he'll win, but I think it's a really tricky race because one spot too far back or the first half in 56 or the first half in a minute's going to completely change the race. Over 2,400 there, they can often go the first half really slowly, and them being on the front end's great.
Do you think Major Dan will, provided he scores up, of course?
Todd McCarthy drives this week rather than Chris Geary. He's mad as a snake, not Todd McCarthy, Major Dan.
Major Dan
so
is...
I don't want to be backing him.
Okay.
And I don't think 2,400s is go anyway. So anyway, you guys are going across there, you and Glenborn, our producer, and you're going to give it a bit of oomph. Now, some people will be watching this and thinking, look, why do we care? It's not that big a deal. I look at it this way, it's no different to the Olympics or rugby or cricket or whatever. Our best horses, maybe Turn It Up being the exception, our best horses are there.
Yeah, they are.
You know, the Fixer, Princess Tiffany's our best $3 filly. Yeah, we've got some serious horses there, and that's why we want to get
No,
some
I'm looking forward to it, and IRT have come on board with their sponsorship, as they have done, of course, as we heard, for the Harness Jewels. Yeah. So there you go, $1 million. The Group 1 Miracle Mile goes 11.28. The other Group 1s on the night, the Oaks, the Derby, the Bohemia Crystal, and the Trotters Mile, who we're not even going to touch on because it's hardly a deep race,
What are you actually going to do over there?
Well, we'll have the live view there.
You're going to play golf or something?
No, we'll have live interviews. What we'll do, as you know, the horses are in the retention barn, so we'll be able to go there and get information on every horse. We'll have a cross on Friday afternoon to give you the latest from there. Glenn will be with me, so we'll get all footage of them doing their final hit out on the Friday, as we did last year when we got my field marshal doing his last bit of work with Tim Butt, which was terrific, and then he came out and won it. And then on the night, we'll have live crosses throughout the night from the track with the latest from the Kiwi perspective and punting perspective, all the information we can.
I'm going to watch it and give you marks out of 10. To see how the coverage goes.
Oh, well, I'll look forward to the report card on the box seat next Wednesday.
So what do you like in the Miracle Mile? You like the fixer?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, if you're having one bet for the night, what are you going to back?
Ashley Lopez.
Okay.
That'll do me.
It's quite definitive. It's quite opinionated.
Well, very good. Yeah. I'm learning off you all the time.
So since you're going there, you can't come to Alexandra Park?
No, won't be there. You and the Big Fish will be there, and you'll be at the Derby at Ellerslie. So you'll be at another Derby, but anyway, that's all cool. Tornado Valley carried on with his winning way. We didn't even talk about it last week, the fact that he was in a Group 1, the night pistol. He's now 19 from 23 in Australia.
And look, these horses aren't very good, but he keeps beating them, so you can't complain. He's just doing a super job. He's heading to the Grand Prix next Saturday, and he gets elected not to take him to the mile at Menangle, and also McLovin, who made it 3 from 3 in Australia last Saturday. He'll head there too. So both those horses go to the Grand Prix on Saturday week. Right,
that wraps up our preview of the Australian action. We'll take a quick break, come back, and we'll be heading to Alexandra Park because it is Pascoe's the Jewelers Northern Oaks night. Welcome back into your box seat. Of course, victorious scenes from last year's Miracle Mile of Team Butt and my field marshal. Right, Alexandra Park, we need to head Friday night. First of two very big meetings, and this is the $125,000 52nd running, Michael Guerin, of the Pascoe's the Jewelers Northern Oaks.
It's a very special race. I know Oaks races tend to be, but gee, we've seen some wonderful horses win this race. And we've seen some wonderful horses win this race by like really big margins, like the Orange Agent type horses, and Venus Serena came out and you went, wow, this is a great filly. Almost invariably, it's won by a great filly. Often there's second or third aren't that special, but the horse who wins the Oaks tends to be very good. So, look, Wainui Creek versus Bella Montana is the entire story of the race. I'm not saying they're the only winning chances, but they're the only ones anybody's going to want to back. Here's Wainui Creek, fresh up at Alexandra Park last time, and look, typical fresh up. I did warn people last week you might see some horses driven cold. Well, she was one of them, but man, she's got a motor, Gregory.
Yeah, this was a big run, charging after Supreme Dominator. On this run here, it just had flashing light, next start, Oaks, perfect for her. What I also find with this race, and you talk about horses winning by big margins, Michael, half the field won't get the 2700. So that takes that part of it out of play. Well, and when the best two fillies have drawn 1 and 2...
Well, they won't get a 320, 2700.
No, that's right.
Or 318, which these horses can go.
A fast run. I mean, Piccadilly Princess's record broke 318 in this race, so they can go that fast, and therefore even less chance of them getting the 2700.
As good as Wainui Creek was there, and she was really good, and we all know how good she is. She's just an outstanding filly. Pit Bella Montana, where she was, she goes every bit as good. Absolutely no doubts. Because here's what she does when she's held up for one run. Here she is coming down the bend. She's all over the shop because she's cornering at speed. Have Time finishes third here. Actually went on to win the Sales Series. But watch the last 100 metres here. Man, she's fast.
And she's showing her true will to win again tonight. What a win. Belle of Montana. Isn't she just going places?
And beat Best Western, who comes up with won the second row, might be a great spot to be, as we know. And on the markers, especially over distance, particularly at Group 1 level, follows Wainui Creek and is probably a place chance.
Yeah, I agree. Marker Pegs, absolute gold over 2,700 metres at Alexandra Park. What do we think is going to happen? I think everybody wants to know the same two questions. Ricky May, are you going to try and lead on Wainui Creek? Zach Butcher, what are you going to try and do from barrier 2? They would both love to be on the Marker Pegs. I doubt they can both be there unless Wainui Creek hands up to Bella Montana. There's no sliding at the start behind for Bella Montana.
I can't see him handing up. I really can't.
No, I can't either. But if he leads, is he going to have to do so with any pressure to the outside? You've got to go with Wainui Creek to win because it's got the actual advantage of being on the Marker Pegs. But something is nagging me about this race, Greg, I don't think it's going to be as simple as it looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
If Wainui Creek just leads and it's got a 30-1 chance on its back, it should win. But there's been a couple of times this season where I thought Bella Montana, well, yeah, it'll get in the wrong part and just still wins.
Hey, there's a horse that's unbeaten going into the Oaks. Her name is Lady Cherokee. She's by Sir Lincoln. She's trained and driven by Todd Mitchell. And before this performance, Todd had said to me, I'll put her in the Oaks. And I said, oh, okay then. Gee, this was a brave performance.
The time wasn't that good, but sometimes the times don't matter. She was just really strong to the line. You've told me that Todd believes she's improved since. Can she win the Oaks? Probably not. One would think. I hope she can for Toddy, but can she run a place in the Oaks? Yeah. I think she's a horse drawn out wide because I presume Todd has to go back at the start, Greg, that she would need them to burn up early.
Well, he needs that early burn, no doubt.
I don't think it's impossible. I wouldn't be surprised to see have time launch off the gate because if she goes back, she'll just go round in circles like most of them back in the field will looking for that third spot. But if she goes forward and gets on the Marker Pegs and crosses a Wainui Creek, well then it's got the option to retake, or Bella Montana's got the option to take the lead. I don't think they can all afford to just drop back off the gate at the start and let Wainui Creek and Bella Montana sort themselves out. So I know it looks like a dead set 1-2 race, and I do think one of those two will win, but I think there might be a few more elements to this race than maybe you first think looking at it.
Lincoln Farms, the Founders, it shifted around a wee bit. It used to be a lead-up race, Michael, to the New Zealand Cup. Then it shifted to December, and now it's here in March. And wow, I've got a good field here, haven't they? Let's Alone, Jack's Legend's been flying. Star Galleria missed out in Australia, so he's here. Ultimate Machete, Ali Mack missed out in Australia, so bonus time for the Auckland Trotting Club having both Ali Mack and Star Galleria there.
Well, I'll tell you one horse I don't want to be on, Ali Mack. I really like her as a horse, but one on the second line behind a horse who's not going to lead at $7. Leave me out of that. Gee, there's some speed out wide here. Jack's Legend flies the gate, Star Galleria flies the gate, Ultimate Machete doesn't fly the gate but has no option but to head forward in the middle to early stages of the race. Here's Jack, back to something like his best. Last couple of wins have been exactly this, Greg. Led, trailed on the cards and was too quick for him. No reason they won't try the same tactics this week, one would think.
Well, these have been confidence-boosting wins for him. You're right, he's used his gate speed to his huge advantage and he's just done that under his own steam there. Why wouldn't those tactics be adopted this week?
The only difference might be if he did lead this week, would you hand up?
He might stay there.
Exactly. Yeah. Over 1,700 depends when key rivals get to you.
And who's that key rival? Star Galleria.
Or Ultimate Machete.
Yeah, so you hand to Star Galleria, you're virtually handing advantage to him because he's very quick.
Yeah. Or unless he gets attacked by Ultimate Machete. So I can't see the winner coming from outside those three. A lot of it's going to depend on who gets what sort of run. Star Galleria, we'll speak to Stephen Reid on the night. Try and get an idea of where he was. He did trial at Menangle last Tuesday, so 8 days ago. So fitness shouldn't be a concern, but put him barrier 7 rather than Jack's Legend, it's his to lose. Barrier 8, there's a few more things in play for him. Really good race. Actually, it's kind of weird. We've lost the open class field of this carnival, and yet that's a better race than this race has tended to be on the first night of the carnival for quite a few years.
Yeah, so 6, 7, 8, Jack's Legend Star Galleria, Ultimate Machete. So deep sort of race there. We've got another group race for you, which is race number 4. This is for the Trotters, Michael, at Group 3, the Sims Pacific Metals Northern Breeders Stakes. Bonnie Highlander at $3.10. I think she won this race. No, the stablemate, All Royal Girl, won this race a couple of 3 years ago. She's 3.10, 4.80 about our petite lady. We'll have a look at her. Majestic Ali won the race last year. Majestic 1 racing very well, although did get disqualified last time in the race won by Le Mans. This is her in front, Michael. A little bit vulnerable she is at times, but she'll get her chance this week.
She will. It's the right sort of race. She tends to find one good enough to beat her, and this week there's probably a couple there who are good enough to do the same. Majestic Ali is well suited to this type of race, won it last year. Majestic 1, remember when they started the Monties? I said to you sometimes a horse will improve via a Monty. I think Majestic 1's improved via the Monties, and even 6 on Fire's in play, it's got a chance. I think it's a really interesting race. It's not a race I'm in love with just yet, but yeah, we'll get Wale to analyse it for you on Friday night and try and find you a winner. The Derby's next week, so Oaks this week, Derby next week, and it's not going to be a big field, to be honest, but the prelude this week, Greg's very small, but the biggest name is there, an ultimate sniper, Tim Williams, to do the job this week. Good to see Dad and Dave up here from the South Island for Tim Trathan, and look, adds a nice, smaller, stable feel to the race.
Yeah, it does. Of course, raced by Tim, his great mate Dave McHugh from the Yoldie, and his father John, so it'll be a big moment for them. Here's Ultimate Sniper, though. He's 6 from 6, and what'll be interesting here is what happens early on. It's over the 2,200 metres. Jesse Duke and he have drawn 4 and 5, so you would imagine one of those will go forward at some stage, maybe early on. Whichever one attacks early may well dominate from the top end.
I think if the 4 goes forward, the 5 follows them across and gets a lead off them. If they were my horses, why would you do anything but lead and trail? The other horses, without being rude, probably aren't good enough to park you out. So I can't see any reason not to back Ultimate Sniper. I can't make a case for Jesse Duke beating him, even though he might have just won.
He hasn't been able to yet.
One's better than the other.
The other race I wanted to have a look at, Michael, was race number 9, which is the Charles Roberts North Island Saddlebred Breeders Stakes, this one. And we have Step Up coming out of a Group 1 performance behind Dream About Me. Of course, it was in the Breeders. Mossdale Rose was very, very good, beating Memphis, Tennessee, who's a fair horse at Addington last time. They both have good gate speed, and it's good to see DeBarber back. Terry Schmiel advising not only the stewards but us at Ashburton last week that DeBarber had a bug. That's why she was disappointing in this race. But gee, Step Up has been racing well. It feels like forever. Races very well at Alexandra Park. Would only need to reproduce this to be hard to beat.
She's got a great chance, but I think it's a race typical of these type of races at Alexandra Park. You want to be on the horse who's leading or trailing. It's so hard to come wide because they might go 2:39. Which 10 years ago was fast. These days it's normal. So, yeah, DeBarber can win. I mean, she beat all these mares the week before, and even something about Mary's a pretty good horse, I think, in this grade. Again, it's a race where you'll bet according to what you think's going to happen in the tactics of the race. If you thought DeBarber was going to trail, you'd be like, yeah, gold. If you thought something about Mary was going to lead, yeah, beautiful. So a lot's going to depend on the scenarios you see unfolding. So look out for the Whale Watch on Thursday night, and Craig and I'll be on track and try and look into that. And by the way, Charles Roberts, the sponsor of this race, 2.95 last week. Here he is, Charlie, 95.
Well, his
That's a good effort.
imprint on the industry is as strong as anyone in the breeding sector, and his contribution has been recognised by Harness Race New Zealand at National Awards and at the Northern Awards. So, yeah, he thoroughly deserves any accolade he receives.
I don't say this lightly because I love the history of harness racing. It's something which is incredibly important to me, so I try not to make stupid statements about the history. I make a lot of stupid statements. But he is...
We know.
He is in the top 10 most important people in the history of New Zealand harness racing.
No one would be
simple as that.
arguing with that.
Yeah, there's some obvious people, and there Roy Purdon's obviously one of them, for his stallion's abilities more than anything else.
Yeah, Charlie Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the sort of ilk you're talking.
Exactly right. And if you didn't have Charles Roberts in the industry, right back to the fact that he was the first person to start pre-race swabbing, or post-race swabbing, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And then obviously through Woodlands, but also through the fact that Bettor's Delight is our most significant stallion of the last 30 years. All those things, and the fact he's owned so many champion racehorses. So happy birthday for last week, Charlie. It's a good knock, 95.
It certainly is.
Do you reckon you'll be seeing 95?
No. In a word, no. Not working alongside you anyway. Sapling Stakes.
If you make it to 95, I'll be like 100. That'll be awesome.
Let's go back to Ashburton on the Saturday. Very important with a lead, of course, towards some of the bigger 2-year-old races over the next 3 or 4 months. The Sapling Stakes and Smooth Deal was a hot favourite. Let's see if he could get home for the punters.
250 to go. The leader is Tyrant Terra Nova. A length on Smooth Deal. Inside run for Copperfield. Then flying even better. It's still Tyrant Terra Nova in front. Smooth Deal the outside. Copperfield the inner. Smooth Deal hit the lead. Flying even better's winding up. Leader is Smooth Deal. Half a length on Flying Even Better, and Smooth Deal won it. Beat Flying Even Better Copperfield.
Well, this guy was the top price lot last year, and you wanted him, and we can see why now.
Yeah, he's grown into a lovely horse. He really has, yeah.
Look, his performances at Auckland, we know his first up run was outstanding. He got things wrong. Mark rectified that by putting the half blinds back on, and he had to be good today.
He had to, yeah. I was really proud of him today. Really knuckled down, and hopefully I think he's one that might just go on, be there for the long haul.
Yeah, he certainly gives that impression. Look, Copperfield wasn't disgraced either, and he's a progressive type too.
Yeah, he's up and coming. I thought he probably should have hung on for second, but, you know, you don't know. So.
Well, things are going well. You've had a big week sales-wise.
That's right.
There's some investment in New Zealand harness racing and in the standardbred industry here. The longevity of it and the success you're having, this is not going to stop shortly, is it?
Well, I don't know. We'll know this time next year.
We certainly will. Hey, great work winning it again, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chase the Dream, won in 2015 for Jean, and it's an interesting race, the Sapling Stakes, each and every year, because often the form from it stacks up incredibly well.
Well, what's remarkable, and I can't work this out, I've never asked them why, and I suppose I will at some stage, is, as we see that the dun horse, as so often the dun horses do, blast across the front of the field, is the All-Stars seem to bring these horses to Auckland, race them at New Year, take them home, contest the Sapling, then take them back to Auckland, which...
They were on a truck the next day.
Well, it sounds crazy to me, right? But they do it every year and it works every year. But it just sounds so odd.
Yeah, like Kayla Marie, she was on the truck the next day.
It sounds such a weird way to train horses, and I'm not saying they're wrong because clearly they're the best, but you know, sometimes, then bizarrely, sometimes they'll go home and then head to Wyndham and Invercargill and places. It's... It defies logic what they do. And if you got the galloping trainers and said, look, you're going to take one, get your 2-year-old, send it to Oamaru or Riccarton and then take it back up. I know someone do. Avantage did it as a galloper, but gee, it's a lot of travelling.
It is.
They do with these horses.
And the most significant thing about this year's Sapling Stakes, the 100th running.
Was it really?
I wouldn't think there'd be another 2-year-old race.
But it wouldn't have been called the Sapling Stakes when it was first run, would it?
No, but a 2-year-old equivalent from 1919's when it started.
I was about to say.
So there you go, and they never ran it in 1990. Anyway, let's move on to another famously named race, the Hambletonian. And I didn't see this coming because I thought Lot of Muscle had its chance last time. Outside second row, there were a few things right about that point that changed the complexion of this race. But have a look at Bob Butt here, and we'll hear from Paul Nairn post-race. He gets on to the back of the hardest horse to beat, I thought, in the race, and gets it in the last couple of hundred.
Full noises on the outside from You Really Got Me. Lot of Muscle and Cheerful. Full noises in front. Lot of Muscle is a length away from Baxter and You Really Got Me. Full noise. Lot of Muscle's half a length away. Now a neck. It's going to be Lot of Muscle. Lot of Muscle won it. Has beaten home Full Noise and Baxter.
Paul, it's been a race that's been pretty good to you and is always a good stepping stone to the bigger 3-year-old contests.
Yes, no, it's always, you know, that's what we train horses for, sort of aim them for these nice races, and it's, you know, it's a big thrill to win them.
Out of the very good race filly and mare and a lot of love, he's always had the ability, this guy, but he's had to been very good today from the outside of the second row.
Yes, yes, he's gone really well, you know, so and he really tries hard, so
Beautifully handled by Bob Butt. Bob's association with you is extended over a few years now, and he was successful with Conan Bridge in this too. So, yeah, he and you, if you like, are having a good run in this race.
Yeah, no, too right. No, Bob does a great job, and he's a big help to me.
You got Gil Favour into about 6th position as well. What about the pathway for these two? I guess leading to one of the ultimate goals being the Derby.
Yes, we look at the good races here in the late summer, autumn, like the Derby, and then he'd probably aimed for the North Island races, the Sire Stakes type races up there in I think it's sort of late April, May sort of thing, and then we've got the Jewels. So,
Plenty ahead, and this guy's heading in the right direction. Congratulations again, Paul.
Thanks very much, Greg.
Paul Nairn. I even never put his horses in the top 4, I don't know, but every time you don't do it...
They pay $31 or something.
No, I don't think it was that high.
No, it was 31 on the fixed odds.
Yeah.
So, look, this isn't the best 3-year-old field of the year. It's a very strong crop, but...
No one Harchicam.
No one Harchicam and no Oscar Bonavita.
Yep.
And they're probably the best two, but...
And no Kratos.
Yeah, no Kratos. I don't think he'll be scaring too many away. But, yeah, it was a lovely drive by Bob. Beautiful work. And, look, I can't remember the last time one of Paul's won at 31 on the fixed odds.
No, well, I thought Full Noise was home. I think it was a little bit unlucky when Aorangi galloped around the bend and it probably cost it a length and a half. But in saying that, a lot of muscle was very strong in the end. I mentioned Paul having a great record in the race with horses like Enthusiast, and Conan Bridge won it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
This year's qualifying for the Jules 3-year-old will be the highest ever, because all of these horses are able to go back and win in the grades. I reckon by the time we get to the Jules, that the worst horse in the field who is eligible, I'm not saying they'll accept because some will drop by the wayside, but I reckon the top 12 of those who were eligible will be minimum 3-win horses. Whereas in the past, maidens might have got to the Jewels, or 1-win horses might have got to the Jewels. The standard is incredibly high. Take, for example, our little horse Kratos, who races this week. He's won 2 this season, and he'll win another one somewhere, and he wouldn't be considered in the top 5 in the crop. Whereas usually you win 3 races against the older horses. You win the top 2
right
guns. Like Mark's and Natalie's top 2 are so good. I'm still not sure Oscar Bonavita's not going to be the best of them. I'm not sure about that.
We'll have to see.
But it's a really good crop.
Neville Fillies heat number 3 it was. Robert Dunn had a strong hold on this race, even with the barrier draws, but in the run as well. Bella Montana had won the first heat, bubbled up the second, but the horse in the trail is winning the third heat.
Kotara Yolanda is the leader. A length and a half on Bubbled Up. Kendra's out for a look. Nakuru Cesano take the lane. And then came She Can Dance. Kotara Yolanda. Kendra's gone up around Bubbled Up. Nakuru's nearer to the inside. Kotara Yolanda is still in front. Nakuru's coming through. Kendra. Nakuru beat Kotara Yolanda. Third Kendra.
Yeah, so 2 good runs there. Nakuru, Kotara Yolanda. I thought Kendra had its chance. Just gets in front of Bubbled Up. So a pretty strong sort of a heat, I think, and going forward, I'm sure the form out of that will stack up. We'll take a short break here in your box seat. We're almost in the home straight. Hope you're enjoying this week's edition. Let's get around this great nation of ours. New Plymouth we will be. $25,000 pick 6 there. 9 races. They start at 3:02, including the Revital Fertilisers Taranaki Cup on Thursday. Then we get to Alexandra Park. Massive night. We've got a pick 6 there, and all of those feature races. Michael Guerin, Craig Thompson on course. They will analyse all of that for you and no doubt find you plenty of winners. But we will also have Addington Raceway, where there is the listed Hara de Trotteurs Sire Stakes Classic, $20,000 race number 7, where I think Cheerful will be pretty hard to beat just before 8 o'clock. That Stratford Cup Day on Saturday, 10 races there, 12:07 the start time of that. And back to Addington on Sunday, 11 races there. It is the Cheviot meeting. They've got the Cup, of course, and the Down by the Seaside Leonard Memorial Stakes for the 2-year-old fillies. Invercargill also race on Sunday with the Northern Tavern Autumn Cup, the feature there, and a nugget final to boot. in Cambridge on Wednesday, 5:24, 8-race program there. What about the Woodland Stud runners for this week? And we have these for you. Ultimate Sniper will be looking to remain unbeaten. Bella Montana's only been beaten once, and Sweet On Me's unbeaten. So, yeah, 3 handy
pretty
horses.
nice bunch.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Absolutely it is. Great race calls. We ask you for yours, and here are a couple of those.
Lord Module, oh, he's putting it up, brilliant run down the outside. Gameline and Lord Module's coming down the outside, they'll love it. Lord Module's gone to the lead. Lord Module's going to win the Ellen Benson free for all from Gameline.
Miss Potential, Shinzig over on the outside, the Jewel Wide of Belmuse, and look at Excellent! Look at Excellent flying right down the outside! Amazing! He is a megastar!
It's Christian Cullen in front, Heracles. It's the finish we expected. Christian Cullen and Heracles. Christian Cullen, Heracles. It's Christian Cullen in a galaxy of stars. He's the brightest of all. Christian Cullen wins it. Second home.
Yeah, 3 great race calls. Real Murtha at his absolute best.
What about those 3?
Yeah, they're
I
hard
still
to beat.
can't believe Excellent won there.
No, pretty remarkable, wasn't it?
Lord Module, man, he was a nut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could run, and Addington was his track, and when he decided to turn up, he did that sort of thing.
There's been, by the way, anybody who has race calls they want us to have a look into, but what about this disgraceful behaviour from Mark McNamara in the betting competition here?
Right, so he got a winner last
So
week.
he got a winner last week, right? So he's strutting around like a little happy person. And now he's going to pick the same horse as me every week because...
But he's $5 behind, so that wouldn't have worked.
Because he wants to try and beat me out. But so you picked the $5 shot last week, and this is heartbreaking.
Do you want to relive that moment?
No, I don't.
Why not? Let's have a look at Sam Scara winning at Ashburton on Saturday.
Nobody cares.
I do, so let's relive it. Blair Orange is special, ducked back to the inside, broke 154 and broke my run of outs.
This is a boring story.
So that was a good performance.
I watched it in Australia and I was yelling against you.
Yeah, well,
because
as you
every week I
always
yell
do.
against your tip.
Kate Marie was third there, by the way, and she comes to the Oaks this week, as we know. So this week I've gone for Reflections of My Life.
So here's what happened, right? Mark McNamara has decided to pick the same horse as me because he thought he was in front of me.
But he's only $5 behind you.
Because that just goes to show, not only is he unscrupulous, as mentioned at the top of the show, he's also stupid. Now, Aaron White's gone for Star Galleria. Cameron Shaw has gone for my horse, Kratos. Cameron, seriously, brother, what are you doing in here? And Linda Van Beek's gone for Ashley Locas, who she part owns, and
Cam win.
I think it'll win this week. Yeah. So, yeah, that's loyalty for you.
Yeah, looking forward to you doing Linda's
By the way, we haven't
Lawns.
worked out the rules with the bet. I think it should be opening price on the fixed odds or tote price.
Whatever's best.
Because otherwise you can't. Opening price, Princess Tiffany opened at $1.22 last week and closed at $1.80.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Oh, we'll have a chat to the Red Brand about that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Alexandra Park Friday night. Absolutely looking forward to Miracle Mile night. And we'll bring you all the information and wrap it all up next Wednesday.
Yeah. The Miracle Mile isn't everybody's cup of tea, but this is grand final stuff, Gregory. I'm really looking forward to it. And it will annoy the Aussies exponentially if the fixer can
Must have
win
been
the
good fun
Miracle
there
Mile.
last week when we won, what, 5?
It was pretty funny. The barrier draw for the Miracle Mile was in the rain outside, wasn't it? It's quite as funny. But yeah, if you had told people 3 weeks ago the fixer could win the Miracle Mile, they would have thought you were crazy. Maybe they were.
Yep, that's been your box seat. We'll see you in 7 days' time.